everyone, my name is Jojo O'Brien. I'm the project manager for the Sauk Creek Greenway Corridor Plan project. Here we are in the Sauk Creek Greenway. So the Greenway serves many purposes, providing drainage conveyance. You can see the channel through here. So there's ice currently in the channel. That's where the water flows. But it also serves many purposes besides drainage conveyance. So it's an urban habitat to birds, insects, and other wildlife. The Greenway also provides the corridor for the existing regional sanitary interceptor. In addition, there are many other ecological services that the Greenway provides, including reduction of the urban heat island effect and resilience to the effects of climate change, as well as providing sanctuary, recreational benefits, and nature to those that live, work, and visit the area. The corridor is considered a natural area that holds extreme importance to many residents and visitors. And while it's quite natural and wild, there's still a need to provide maintenance to keep the Greenway both functional from a stormwater perspective and improve the health of the forest. So here we can see a bank of the channel that does have some erosion occurring. So this bank is probably about 4 feet tall, and you can see the roots that are hanging down beneath the bank, and that shows where the soil has been removed from those roots. So that soil has washed downstream, and that tells us that these banks are not stable and that there is erosion that is occurring. And one of the main goals of the project here is to stabilize these slopes so that that sediment is not washing downstream. When we have sediment that gets washed downstream, that goes into our downstream waterways, so our rivers and our lakes, and that sediment causes algae blooms and negatively impacts our water quality. So that's bad for habitat for fish and also all of our recreational activities that we like to do on our rivers and lakes. So part of what the stormwater utility's job is to make sure that we are improving our downstream water quality. And to do that, we need to be stabilizing some of the banks throughout this Greenway. All right, so here's another bank that is vertical. You can see the exposed roots here. So there is active erosion happening. And these roots actually belong to some oak trees. So here we'd want to stabilize these banks. But in this case, what we would look to do is we wouldn't want to grade back the banks and stabilize with rock riprap. We would look to see how we could protect the trees that are at the top of the bank and maybe pull the bank in and potentially do some grading on the other side to make sure that we still have the same channel capacity, but that we would look to save the oak trees at the top of the bank. So while our typical process is to grade back and put on riprap to stabilize the banks, we'd look at each individual area and each tree at the top of the bank and see what we could do to save high quality trees. So this is a sanitary access structure. This is here because there's a regional sanitary sewer that runs through the Greenway. The Greenway is often the lowest point within a neighborhood or an area, so it often makes it most conducive to put our sanitary sewer through it. So right now there's a 21-inch regional sanitary interceptor that runs through here. And this path was built in the 2010s so that our big green Vector trucks can get down and they can maintain the sanitary sewer. They're regularly cleaning it so there aren't blockages. And in the case of an emergency, our Vector trucks would need to get back here to be able to access these structures and fix whatever is happening. So here we are on the sanitary access path that was built in the 2010s. We're going to make our way down, and as we get a little bit closer here, you can actually see that the channel erosion is cutting into the existing sanitary access path. So that erosion is actively cutting into this path. And you can see the vertical bank up here. That soil is moving away, and it's making it so that we are unable, or in the future could be unable, to actually use this path with our Vector trucks. So this is something that we would look to stabilize with the project to both protect this crucial access and again to prevent the sediment from moving downstream. So here we are in the channel. You can see here that there is natural rock deposition at the bottom of the channel and then along some of the banks here. So this is close to what it would look like when we put in that rock riprap to stabilize the channel. The rocks would be bigger, more like these ones, these larger, rounder ones. The proposed riprap would actually blend in really well with the existing channel landscape. So that is something that we'll be looking to do with the project. Here you can see another backup. It looks like some of this is washed through, but you have the logs, the leaf matting, and you can see here along this bank that I'll walk in and point out that it seems like the water found its way through here. So here you can see the tree roots This is where there used to be soil. The soil is washed away and that is flushed downstream. Again, that is really not good for our downstream water quality. And part of what the stormwater utility is supposed to be doing is maintaining stable banks throughout our stormwater conveyance system. This greenway is a crucial part of our stormwater conveyance system as part of the Pheasant Branch watershed study. Over 1,200 acres of land end up contributing their stormwater and flow through this greenway. So this is really a crucial spine of that system. And that is part of why we want to make sure that it is stable and that we are able to maintain it. So the intent of the corridor plan was to develop a plan with the community that improves downstream water quality by addressing the unstable banks and balances its existing ecological and stormwater function with future ecological needs and establishes guidelines for how the greenway will be managed moving forward. The community throughout the corridor plan process shared they had a strong desire to minimize tree loss, improve the health of the forest, improve conditions for native plant and tree species, stabilize the channel, increase resiliency to climate change, and promote biodiversity and create maintenance access. The corridor plan, we believe, accomplishes those goals. Additionally, the community was able to vote on the following: the type of stabilization, which they chose rock riprap to minimize the impacts to adjacent trees. The extent of the stabilization, the proposed plan includes spot stabilization on the worst banks. That will also minimize the impacts. The community also weighed in on the extent of the stabilization and access in both the middle and upper sections of the greenway, provided design guidance on which trees should be prioritized during our design process. And we are at a medium to large blockage, I would say, based on what I've seen throughout the greenway throughout the past 5 or 6 years that I've been walking through here. So what makes this a medium to large blockage is that you have a variety of larger tree trunks that are intertwined with sticks that are stuck in between them, and then they end up matted with leaves. So if you can imagine, a bunch of water trying to move through here is going to be held up back behind it, and it's not able to move through very easily. What that does is that creates a situation where there is a source point for erosion. So the water trying to get around the blockage looks like, in this scenario, found that the best way to get through was to push along this bank here, and that extra pressure around this bank seems to have eroded out more of this bank. You can see that this is a pretty tall, fairly vertical bank, probably about 4 feet high. You can see some of the sediment is deposited through here that comes off the bank, but a lot of that is washed downstream and it finds the path of least resistance through as it makes its way. So what the city would like to be able to do is, where we have these large blockages, we'd like to remove them before they get to this point and cause all this additional erosion. So that is part of the reason why we want to create maintenance access through here, so that our equipment can go in, pull out these big blockages, remove them, and then the channel can be more stable moving forward.
A goal for the ecological restoration work within affected project boundaries will be to establish herbaceous native vegetation as the ground layer. One thing that we're noticing, and that was pointed out in the ecological assessment, are horticultural invasive plants that have spread through a large area of the greenway. You can see here a monoculture of periwinkle, which is a common woodland plant that is used in landscaping. A concern that we have is that it forms a mat of this sole species, and we don't get that diversity of grasses and wildflowers that would normally grow in a woodland setting that can provide a wider variety of resources for pollinators, birds, and other wildlife. A unique aspect of the Sauk Creek Greenway are the mature oaks in the canopy. In urban areas, it's uncommon to have many mature oak trees in an area. And so this is one of the aspects of the Greenway that we're going to be working hard to preserve and enhance during the project and the ecological restoration to follow. Right now, what we're seeing are mature oak trees that are in decline, but also we're seeing a lot of growth in this shrub layer that is causing fewer opportunities for oak trees to reproduce and regenerate. So what we will likely see in the future canopy are fewer oak trees, because we're not seeing young oak trees regenerate. Other valuable native hardwood species that are also part of this community include this shagbark hickory, hackberries, cherries, and other slower growing native hardwood trees. Over time, the sanitary access path has widened as trees have come down, creating pockets of light that allow us an opportunity to replant species that may be more desirable, things like oaks and hickories, to enhance the woodland environment. So here we see a mature oak canopy with a dense shrub layer. So this would be an area where we would not be likely to see natural oak regeneration. And that's because the shrub layer, when it's leafed out, has a lot of shade on the ground, making it difficult for a seedling to germinate and to grow. And also, a lot of the species of shrubs that are in here are buckthorn. Buckthorn produces a chemical that suppresses the growth of other plant species, which can make it particularly difficult for oaks and other plants to grow.
As we are approaching the end of this quarter plan process, I just really want to thank everyone for all the time and effort that they've spent. We created this whole special engagement process that is going to be a total of 6 public meetings, community walkthroughs, surveys. And you guys have stuck with me through it all, providing input, sharing what you like and what you don't like, sending emails, requesting additional opportunities for input. I think that we've created something that balances what the community is interested in and engineering's needs to be able to convey stormwater and maintain the area moving forward. And we're going to be giving this beautiful wooded area a shot to be the same thing for future generations moving forward. And that's really special and important. As we make our way out of this corridor plan, we'll be starting into different design phases for the project. There's going to be more opportunities for people to share specific input and help shape the specific designs of how we will implement the different elements of the corridor plan. So please hang with us throughout that whole process. It's going to be really important that everyone continues to have a seat at the table and is sharing their opinions as we make our way through those. So thanks again for all the time and energy, and we look forward to creating a sustainable, beautiful greenway for everyone to use moving forward.